if I keep moving through these postures, through these different positions that are actually contributing to my mobility, to my flexibility, I'm going to come out at the end of the day in better function, where typically we're losing function throughout our day. And it doesn't have to be like that. We can reverse it. And imagine if you did these healthy, got into these healthy positions throughout your day, what your body would look like in a year versus what it looks like now with the habits that you are doing. I'm going to go through a little bit with the pelvis position. This is the lumbopelvic hip complex, and it's very important. It's in the center of our body, and everything attaches to it. So from the upper torso, I come through my spine into the sacrum. That's part of this osseous ring here. And then I have my legs coming up, and they attach in the side here. And there's many, many muscles that go throughout that allow this me to move with such fluidity. This lumbopelvic hip complex is massively important to keep functioning. So it stabilizes with the glutes and it lengthens, you gotta lengthen through the hip flexors. I want to be able to move my pelvis in all different ways. Typically when we sit and when we're driving, we round. So I'm rounding my back, which means my ischial tuberosity here is going forward. What I want to do is actually, I want to roll forward onto my ischial tuberosity. So my pubic bone is dropping down towards the ground and I'm getting an arch in the back. So if you want to sit up for a little bit, maybe you're going to sit with your knees bent, you can put the yoga block or something, you can put it in your back and lean against the wall. So that's pushing my sacrum forward. You see that? How it's rounded, and then I can push it forward. I'm going to post pictures of a lot of these different postures on my Instagram. I think they're already there, but they're down, so I'll bring them back up so you can look at getting more flexible throughout your day. Now, there's some mobility. Now, mobility is important because it's movement with stability. So if I just gain a lot of flexibility, my joint interprets that as being the joint is now unstable. And when the body detects instability in the joint, it restricts movement. So it's called a bracing factor. So if there's anything that my body detects as a potential of getting injured, it will restrict that whole joint. So we often get it, when people have discs to go out, they get bracing and they get locked in this position. That's because their body's like, oh my God, there's something really bad there, let's lock it down so that it can't move. That over time can contribute to more damage. So you want to have strength through the lengthening in the joint. And that's why yoga is so good, because it works on as you're stretching one part of the body, one part of the joint, it's strengthening the other part. And that's very important to get flexibility, or else you're going to just revert back. If you just stretch, you'll revert back and get tighter because the body's going to a bracing pattern. So some mobility. A good one is a lunge tweak. So you can just stand, you lunge forward, and then you're going to rotate towards the foot on the outside and just touch. And it doesn't matter where you touch initially. It can be just your hamstring, or it can be all the way to your foot. So I'm lengthening here, but I'm getting mobility. So as I'm lunging, I'm actually moving through my hips, so that joint here is getting loosened up. Another good one is the lunge to sumo squat. It's going to be hard to show you this one see if I fit. So I'm here in a plank, I'm bringing my foot forward, and so now what I can do, I can move my pelvis around, so I can flatten out my back, I can shift back and forth, I can put my hips in circles, and then I come forward and I'm in a sumo squat. And then I can go back with the opposite leg, and now I'm in a stretch again. From that squat, there's actually another one that's really good. It's a little complicated to get into. Let me see if I can show you. So I'm going to be here, and then I'm going to throw my hands backwards over the top, and then I'm going to kick over. there's not really a right way to move. There's the ability within your range, so you got to stay within that so you don't injure yourself. But if you just work these postures slowly, eventually you'll start to gain that mobility. That's the great thing about the human body, is that it's so adaptable. You can actually reverse damage that you've done to it. Another great one is for up the arms into the chest. It's just a tabletop or crab, whatever you want to call it. And you can practice going all the way over and then back. These can be a little difficult, like I'm saying first. So just practice them slowly. The more you can get in this position, these positions, the quicker you will gain this flexibility and the easier it gets. So when you first try them, they will be uncomfortable. And remember from our talk yesterday, we talked about how we're designed to avoid discomfort. So gaining flexibility can be a little bit uncomfortable. So you're just going to have to be with that. All that's happening is there is a nerve in that part of your body sending a signal to the brain saying, hey, there's some work going on here. And it's giving you a feeling of discomfort so you can move out of it. That's not what's good for the body. Often these signals we get aren't what we need. So we need to be able to assess these signals and decide on them. So in this series of talks, we're sort of putting together how we can start to optimize ourselves, and so then we get to have freedom in our choices and we can live the best life we possibly can. So I'm going to show you some mobility stuff for gaining some strength. There's a really good one which is called the monkey hop. So you're in a squat position. You're going to put your hand to the side and you're going to just as slow as you can jump over and to the side. And you can keep going. I would smack into the phone if I kept going, but I'm going to show you backwards, so I'm reaching away from me. And I can move around the house like that. Try walking around the house like an animal. You know, have some fun. If you have kids at home, they'll love it. Another one for core is the kick through. So I'm going to get in a position. I'm on my toes and my hips. Now I'm going to put my left foot where my left hand is, and then I'm going to kick through. So I'm going to show you the other way. My right foot where my right hand is, boom, and then I'm going to kick through. That's a great one for mobility and strength. If you guys want more on this, you could look up any flow movement. People who teach flow movement have amazing videos on this stuff. So, do you guys have any questions? If you have questions, throw them in there and I'll start answering them. Let me look, there's one there. Okay, there's a question here about sleeping, posture when you're sleeping. Yeah, that's a really good one. I get that a lot. There is a good anatomical position. This is in the West. They measure this, which is lying on your back with a roll under your neck, so you're getting the natural curve in your cervical spine is coming back, which I think is great. So a lot of people can't sleep on their backs. They don't fall asleep like that. They're not comfortable. So you can practice it and you get more comfortable. When I live with these different tribes, I actually watch how they sleep or how they rest. I don't creep into their huts at night. But I can see what they do. They sleep more like an animal would, like a cat or a dog, where they sort of get into different positions and they roll around because they have that flexibility. Because they're not sitting all day, they're in a squat or mobile, so they get a lot more, they have a lot more flexibility, so it's easier for them to move. So I would say what's going to help with your posture sleep is actually flexibility, gaining flexibility throughout your day. There's the pre-existing dysfunction. So there's structural versus functional disorders. Structural means I was born with a dysfunction. So for me, I actually have a leg length difference. The bone is actually different length, so it's 16 millimeters different. So that causes, if my leg's a different length, it causes my hip to be off, and then it throws my spine off, and everything's kind of adjusting throughout my body. That's a structural disorder. I can still work with it. I just might have to work more than someone else, or I deal with different tightnesses. So for me, my right hip gets really tight, my left ankle gets really tight. So I have to spend more time on those components. The functional is just something that out of what I do, functionally, I got a dysfunction, I got restriction. So that's also really important to understand. You can reverse those functional ones. The structural ones, you're going to just be dealing with some structural issue. Let me look at another question here. Someone asked here that they wake up with their fists clenched and bent around. That's most likely stress. So you're not relaxing, there's something going on. It's probably, like we talked about a couple of days ago, how our bodies can't tell between real and perceived danger. There might be something you're worrying about, stressing about, that's causing you to stress, and that's causing tension. That's another thing that contributes to posture, is our stress, is our tension. You'll see if you get anxious, you get anxiety, you get stress, you're going to get tension up through the back of the neck, which is we already have tension there because our head is so heavy, and we're usually leaning it forward, so it's called forward head carriage, and that's putting stress on the back of my neck. So muscle's already stressed, and then I overload it with my behaviors, and then with my stress and stuff. So yeah, if you're waking up in a tense position, try doing the catharsis, which we'll talk about in a couple of days, and meditation, the breathing and stuff, and try and relax more when you go to sleep. Yeah, there's a few people that say they're waking up with different tensions from when they sleep. That's really important to get that sweet sleep quality really good, so your body's relaxing. You can train to relax your body. You can do it in meditation, you can do it through breath work. If you train to let go, because our bodies are getting tense because they're holding on, they're preparing, they're retreating, as opposed to feeling comfortable. So it's a vulnerability that I'm feeling vulnerable, so I restrict myself. So if I'm more comfortable and getting comfortable relaxing and know I'm safe relaxed, then I can condition my body not to tense up when I'm asleep. As we wrap up, I want you guys to think about how I started this talk, that we can keep contributing to society if we have a purpose in it, if we're mobile, if we can function. We don't need to age the way we're aging. And mobility, flexibility is a massive component. And as you can see, the stress and stuff also affects that. So it's all compounded. We are one organism. You can't compartmentalize our mental state with our physical state, with our habits, our postures, behavior. It's all one. So with these talks, I want to help untangle these components, so then